Recording. Cool. All right, guys. So we've got a fun little topic tonight. Let me pull up my screen. Does anybody want to read the email? Is there any desire, burning desire? If not, I can read it, but guys. No, nobody. Okay. You want to read it, Diane?
Sure, just because I don't want you to carry the load, you wrote this
Oh,
incredibly brilliant email.
Beautiful.
So I want to really just acknowledge that to start with.
thank you. I appreciate
Really,
it.
these aren't easy things to come up with topics that are interesting, and you wrote so passionately and specifically, and I appreciate that.
Thanks, Diane.
You're
Love
welcome.
All right,
Hello
go for it.
and
Let's hear
hello,
it, baby.
hello and Jay Baba, everyone. It's been a little while, or as Margie would also say, it's been a minute. Thought this would be the topic for this week is on moments with Baba. I felt this would be a good topic to follow Jeff's last Sunday. Our relationship with the beloved changes so much in our lives. I have found that with myself and people who he graciously turns the key for, he meets everyone exactly on their level. He never expects a kindergartner to understand God speaks or demands us to be a certain level. He loves and accepts us wherever we are. I often think of how the Mandali listen to people come to them with their worldly problems and pretend that those things really mattered. I feel Baba usually does the same. He never judges us for not being further along the path. Only our own ego and expectations do that. Like you would with a child, he patiently waits for us to figure out the next move to make in the game. Amongst this patience, Baba lets us know he is there with us along the journey. I can only speak from the lens of my own experience, but as my relationship with Baba has changed over the years, so has the way he shows me he is near or makes appearances in my life. When I was younger, he showed up as Jesus and never really said anything. Throughout my teen years, he was a mystical force, and now in my current state of adulthood, Baba comes to me more through Mara than anything else. I thought it would be lovely to share some of the various ways Baba has shown up in your life as your relationship with him has deepened. When we first come to Baba, there is a honeymoon. He gives us a plethora of signs and serendipitous experiences to ensnare our hearts. There tends to be a theme of going through a period after that of longing and settling in, looking for him in all the ways he once made his presence known. Then we find something else, be it our intuition or a bird song each morning. Once we have fully settled into the everyday practicality of loving him, I feel this is when he pops up out of nowhere again. May this time, Maybe this time he is through another person or picking a perfect Baba quote you needed to hear. Either way, he always has a way of letting us know we are not alone. These moments with him, the mystical ones, beyond worldly explanation, can sustain us for a lifetime. So why not share them? In His Love, brilliantly written by Margi. Jai Baba.
Thank you so much, Diane. Well, guys, that's the topic for tonight. And so, it doesn't really matter what you want to share. It could be like a coming to Baba moment, but I know Baba has changed so many of the ways that he's come to me, and I felt like abandoned by Baba because he stopped showing up in the way that I expected it, and then he shows up in a different way, and yada, yada, yada. So I just thought it would be sweet and beautiful to reminisce and have some nostalgia about all the ways that Baba shows up. So does anybody have anything that comes to mind that they want to share? A mystical experience or a serendipitous experience? If not, I can go. I can share something. Okay. Well, let's see. Maybe this will get juices flowing. Actually, I have a story of somebody who came to the center. This isn't my story, but I had the privilege of like spending so many years working in the center. So you get to hear these stories. Like Jeff has so many stories. There's actually, I will say, all those years of working there, I almost had this sense of like, there was no like surprise anymore when people would say that crazy stuff happened because it was just like, oh yeah, of course. Like that's what Baba does. He does crazy stuff all the time. But there was this woman who who she was going through something and she was like just coming to Baba. And so she goes into the lagoon cabin and I forget what the flower was. I think it might have been gardenia. Yeah, gardenia, I'm pretty sure. But she goes in the lagoon cabin and the entire lagoon cabin is filled with this flower scent, just like totally filled with it. And she, she's sitting there and she's having this like beautiful experience with Baba. It was like super early on in her journey. And so Annie told me this story. And super early in her relationship with Baba, and she had this like beautiful emotional experience connected in the lagoon cabin, but there still was like a little seed of doubt in her mind. And so she walks out of the lagoon cabin and goes to put her little shoes on. And in each of her shoes is a perfectly placed gardenia in each one of them. I think it was gardenia. I'd have to ask Annie to confirm, but two perfectly placed flowers just so Baba could leave his mark. And I mean, that was the moment for her. So that's the story I've got. But anybody else have a sweet little story or even the moment that,
I have a story.
okay, go ahead.
Okay, so I'm going to tell a story that's not my own personal story, but it's one I heard a couple of times from a friend who I won't be naming. That he was also at the center and was staying. He was in the lagoon cabin, and I guess having his conversation with Baba, and someone walked by the cabin and he caught his eye. And as he looked out there, it was this woman that was walking by who I don't think he knew her, but he looked at her. And then when he turned back to Baba to continue whatever they were talking about, uh, Baba said, "It. Oh no!" Then after he had that look at that woman, he had this experience of marrying this woman that he was involved with. I mean, they were like almost engaged in a way, but they were definitely in a relationship. And he said, and he saw this life roll out in front of him where he was married to her, and they were going to have kids, and everything was going to be beautiful. It was all going to be so beautiful. And he looked at it, and Baba said to him, "If you would like to have this, do not approach that other woman or say anything or do anything with regard to her." So it was like kind of like a test or a challenge that Baba was putting there. And that evening, they went into the original kitchen. I think this was before the refectory was even built. So they went into the kitchen, and this woman was there, and so was his girlfriend, you could say. And he approached her. He approached that other woman, and it was such a powerful. There was something very powerful about him doing that, to the point where all he did was like went up and maybe introduced himself to her or something like that. The woman that he was with burst into tears. She was like overwhelmed by what's going on here. She felt like her whole life was, that whole relationship was over. That's how powerful the karma or chemistry or something was between the two of them. Nevertheless, he was very freaked out by it. He didn't know what to do. And he went to Kitty and told Kitty what had happened. and he asked for her advice. And Kitty said, "There's no advice that I can give you. You're going to be going with that woman. This is it. You made your choice." And so uh, I don't think there's anything to be done about it. And that's what happened. And it was a terrible experience for him. I mean, being in that relationship with that woman, so many things fell apart in his life, his health and his academic career and all kinds of things like that. Uh, Fortunately, it didn't last forever. And but I find it a fascinating story because sometimes Baba might, uh, you know, give you something of his own, and if you don't take it seriously, my God, the results of not taking it seriously is can be profound. It's possible that some of you have had that happen, but yeah, if you that's why I never ask Baba for any kind of advice. I figure if I ask him for advice and he tells me to do this or that, and it's not something that's in my wheelhouse, oh my God, I'm in big trouble. So I don't bother with that. I just try to do something I think that wouldn't displease him.
Wow. That's a great story. I mean, that's kind of a scary story. Like I probably wouldn't tell new
Here,
Papa lovers that. But yeah,
yeah.
it's, I mean, I think it's all like, I mean, I don't know. My belief is like, but well, I think Baba probably knew that guy was going to do that. So that's why he said it, right? So it's like something, I mean, I don't know. I think that Baba knows everything that's going to happen, but I think he does give us an opportunity to feel like we're participating along, right? He'll like give us that choice or give us that. And either way, he knows he's going to torture us or give us gold or, whatever. It doesn't matter. But it's,
Well, our success or failures at a test that he presents will yield some lesson,
yeah.
particularly the failures.
Yeah.
So it's just the way he works with us. That's part of the deal is the failures.
Yeah. I think that's how he shows us the most love. So who knows? He done that with that woman to torture this guy for however many years, having all this guilt or regret that he threw this away. And Bob was kind of funny way of doing things. But so I'm curious for you guys, like how, especially over time, how your relationship, not just with Baba, but with God in general. Because I know, like for myself, I always had Baba in my life, but I wasn't really connected to Baba. I had a really close relationship to Jesus. And Jesus would come to my bedroom at night and like he would just be there. And I didn't like that was my relationship with God. And then as I would come to the center, I met that weirdo Jeff. And I was like, man, I better stay away from this place. I don't want to turn out like him. No, I'm just kidding. Jeff, you're muted, but I'm sure you said something funny.
Baba told me to brainwash you, and I did.
It worked.
He-
Yeah, but when I was a little kid and I didn't realize it, but the way Baba came to me was through Annie and Jeff, right? That was how I felt love. I didn't realize it was Baba necessarily, but I just knew my thought growing up when I was at the center is my dad never really told us anything about Baba. He was just like always in our lives and we always had pictures everywhere. He would always he never explained to us really what the center was. A lot of Baba kids have that experience. There's actually one Baba girl who she went to India like 4 times. And until she was like 12 years old, she didn't know what the samadhi was. Like it would just bring her to India. And like she was a really little kid. But it never like she didn't realize that it was Baba's tomb. And that was kind of my experience, is like my dad just assumed that I knew what was going on. But anyway, so when I was a little kid and I would come to the center, I just remember like thinking that Annie and Jeff were the coolest people I'd ever met. And if they liked Baba, then he must be okay. Like if that's like he must not be that bad because they see
It
things.
works.
Yeah. Yeah, but I mean, like you might not say like, oh, that was Baba coming to me, but I now in hindsight, like I do think that that was how Baba came to me. And as I was writing that email, that's what I was kind of thinking is he comes God, not just Baba, you know, like the all-encompassing, our whole experience of life. He comes to us at the level that we're at. So this, like, you don't just have to share experiences of coming to Baba. It can also be like, how did God show up for you before you knew who Baba was? Because I'd be interested in hearing that too. Alan, you got a nice haircut.
No, he
Thank
was
you.
just doing a washing.
Thank you. Thank you.
You got a story?
Of a time before coming to Baba.
Yeah, or coming to Baba, a moment with Baba.
I remember in my younger days when I was I was dating this woman who's not my current wife, and she was into we were into like a lot of like energy work and healing and all that stuff, and I remember one time at the time I was meditating a lot, and I had a very strong connection all of a sudden to, yeah, what I would consider was like the Christ energy. That's what I called it, at least. And um, I remember was just getting directives. And one time I was sitting there in meditation, and I asked, can I please be in contact with you directly? And I was sitting there, and um, I said, may I be of service to you? And may I was feeling, I felt this directive to that. He was saying, give me everything, give me all of your fears and everything. And he was showing me like from here, you can open up and give me from inside. You're not from out, not physically, but inside you get. And then I was seeing him. And then suddenly he said, your hands, I will just open up until like just empty yourself. And now that you're empty, uh, I will sit in your soul, something like that, something along those lines. And I suddenly dropped. I was sitting there and I just dropped face forward, almost hit the floor, because the amount of absolute just this unbelievable love, this sweetness, this absolute divine. It wasn't like superpowers, or it was just felt like absolute forgiveness, and like everything I had done to that point was forgiven, and everything I will do is forgiven. And then he said, share this moment, share this experience through your hands. And it was just this unbelievable amount of love. And again, I was at the time not sure what was like in my head, or what was, I was just kind of not sure of myself. And I remember this happened alone, by myself. But then this woman I was dating, I said, I had this experience, and it just feels different than all the other stuff. It feels different than all the other, like spiritual, whatever I thought I was doing, the traveling or the this and that. It feels like just so grounded, and it's just so loving. And she's like, oh, that's cool. She would say something like, what is the spirit name? And I was like, well, it's not really a spirit. It's like, it's Christ. It was Christ energy. And she was like, what? Like, you're not religious, are you? And I was like, no, I'm not. I don't know. And then I suddenly heard that voice and within, and said, share your hands. And I was like, I forgot about the hands thing. He's like, share the hands now. And I said, oh, well, do you want me to share that energy with you? And she said, yeah, okay, sure. So she was standing there, and I closed my eyes. And I remember there was this angel or something that was like, I had to ask permission to, or something like that. It was something along those lines. And then that energy, the Christ, I felt completely, I lost consciousness of me, and just felt completely filled with that love. It was just and it was a love that was wanting to give and nothing to take. And it was just love. And then my hands, I could feel physically my hands outreach to her. And the second my palm touched her, she fell to the floor and started sobbing. she just fell and she sobbed and she was sobbing and she was sobbing and she just, and this is somebody that she did not really do that. Like she was just kind of taken aback after I took my hand off, and she like stood up and was a little bit like, what was that? And I was like, um, I don't know. I think that's the Christ energy. I don't know what to tell you. She was like, you should share that. You could get paid a lot of money for that. And I was like, yeah, I'll think about it. But I never shared that with anybody else again, except when I was at a massage school. I was trying to become a massage therapist. And I remember this gentleman saying I was getting overwhelmed by touching people. It was too intense to touch people. The energy was I was getting overwhelmed. And he said, hey man, well, why don't you touch people? I see you putting your hands above people. Why don't you just touch people? Like, and I was like, well, I'm being affected by this thing that I don't know how to talk about it. And he's like, what is it, man? You can share it with me. You can even do it on me. You doing energy work or something? And I was like, I don't know. And he was like, go ahead. Just try it on me. Try it on me. So he was sitting in a chair in the middle of the class. And I said, all right. And I opened up that same energy and I put my hand in the front of his chest and the back. And immediately he just dropped his head and there's just the tears. And I said, and the words came out of whatever it was like strength, clarity, and love. And he was like, he looked up when I said it out loud. He's like, that's exactly what I was just repeating to myself, just repeating that. And I was thinking of Christ. And I was like, I didn't even mention, the word or anything. It was just, yeah, it was very powerful. And I never knew what that was until years later when I heard Charles talk at Northeast Gathering, and it exploded inside me again. I had forgotten about that, but yeah, that's a slight experience from my past about it.
Yeah.
Wow.
Wow, that's beautiful. So, but Alan, can I ask now that you're with Baba, how is the experience of Baba of God, right? Of God coming to you or, being in touch. How has that changed? Because I think that's like so intense, right? And so visceral where it's like you can't ignore it. But as we get more in our relationship with Baba, I feel like it's kind of like a marriage, right? At first, relationship with God is like hot and heavy. He's giving you all the signs. You're like, oh, I love God. And then it's more like a settled marriage, And so how does Baba show up now?
Yeah, I mean, you pretty much described, I think, what I was going to say was, I mean, I feel now that it's yeah, there's a lot less that I need of proof from Baba to really my inner conviction about my relationship with him and within him is not needed. I don't need the sparks and the flames and the things and the dreams and the I just don't need that in my relationship with him. So and maybe I will again. I don't know, but I think that my conviction in his presence in everything that I do and everything that I look at or experience, whether I remember him or feel him or not, is currently present with me. And so, yeah, I don't really the changes like I never do anything like any energy work or any kind of. I'm very far from that, so it's like very kind of practical with Baba, I guess. He just wants me to work and deal with people in a good way. So, like I see a lot of people every day, and some people are challenging, and I think it's more of like seeing Baba in all of humanity, including myself, and the parts that I'm really scared to share with others or admit or be honest with him even. And I think that's the difference. I feel that that I see him more in my life, my waking life, and can relate to people, can remember him through these weird people that I meet and the cool people that I meet and the whoever it is. Yeah, it's through the connections that I experience. And I feel a lot less resentful and I don't feel that he's doing it to me. I feel that he's experiencing, if I'm having anxiety or I'm in traffic and I have a headache, or he's the one experiencing this with me. He's not somebody that's outside me, that's like this God that's pointing a finger and saying, you need to suffer now so that you can prove your worth to get into the kingdom of heaven.
Kingdom of Heaven, right?
I just don't feel that. I feel him in my everyday life, I guess. I don't know. Yeah, it's not as what's the word?
Fantastical.
Yeah, it's really not. It's not.
Yeah, that's beautiful. And I mean, he comes exactly the way that we need him to. It's actually, I mean, I think it's beautiful when we look back on our lives and we see how sweet Baba came to us in like all these incredible ways. And now it's just like, no, I don't need to do that for you anymore. We're here.
Yeah.
All right, let's go to Diane.
I'm going to start off with a joke.
Okay.
And I'm going to make it fast, though, because maybe some of you have heard it. It's about a flood has come, and a guy sees that the water is building up. So he goes to his roof as the waters keep rising. And people in a canoe come by. And they say, come on, jump in, jump in. And he said, no, 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 I'm waiting. God is going to save me. And so they go about their way, and then a helicopter comes by, and they lower down the ladder, and they say, climb up, and he says, no, no, I'm waiting for God to save me. Well, a couple more saviors come by. He says the same thing. Finally, the water comes up so high it engulfs him, and he drowns. And he gets to heaven. He says to God, God, I had so much faith in you. I was convinced you were going to save me. And God said, what did you think the canoe was? The helicopter. And that is me. That is I kind of need consistent reminders that he's real, because I was an agnostic almost my whole life, and being a Jew, God is it's not a person, it's not a Krishna, it's not a Baba, it's not a Jesus. I was raised that I still can't explain it. But I'm taking a walk with a rabbi on Saturday, so I might ask her to explain it. But I've had the most recent, I've shared in here some real gotcha moments for me. Whether it be how my retirement is coming, and how if things had gone the way I planned it, I would have earned nothing. And the way Baba planned it, I earned a lot in a monetary way, which was great. But most recently, Terry and I shared this a little bit at Jeff's the other night, because we had just gotten home from being away 10 days. And it was a love fest with our child and their fiance. They're getting married in October. Go into the chapel. And not queers don't go to the chapel, but anyway, we were coming home, and we had two legs of the journey from Westchester Airport to Charlotte to LA. And we're standing in line, and we had noticed this woman sitting near us who had a lot of style. We both acknowledged how great her style was. And she stood right next to me. And Terry taught me a long time ago, we're old enough that we should never pass the opportunity to tell someone something like, you look great, or something really positive. So I said that to her, and it you could just see, here was a woman, she was a senior citizen like myself, just her heart opened up so much, and we were chatting. And then we boarded first, and all of a sudden she's sitting in the row ahead of us. So again, we think it's a connection, and she lets us know that in Charlotte, there's this great barbecue place. And I was pretty hungry by then. So we asked to, be each other's lunch companions. When we got there, we didn't have the time to go to the other terminal though. So we just sat and ate what was close. And we're chatting, getting to know each other. And we're going to different airports, but she lives about an hour and a half south of LA. And we're chatting, and something came up, and Terry made a reference to our spiritual community. And she said, "Oh, really? What's your spiritual community?" And Terry said, "Well, Mayor Baba." And she goes, "Oh, you mean the Avatar?"
Oh my God.
That has never, ever, ever, ever happened to me. I've had people who've said, "Yeah, I've heard of him, and he's interesting." She's read God Speaks. She's done all this stuff, and the little bit of texting we've had back and forth has been a perspective that is so unique and delicious and heartwarming. And just here's another person who got touched by Baba. And for the longest time, we would go to the LA Center and we didn't have a lot of connection. And it wasn't until Baba Zoom did I start meeting people who I connected with and whose company I wanted to keep, people I respected. And it's kind of like what you said about Jeff. If Jeff and Annie are into him, then there's got to be something. And it's the same thing here. If Jeff likes somebody, then I know.
Stay away.
But it has been really, really meaningful to me to be with people with whom I respect, who have Baba in his life, in their life. And for me, it's I do need these constant knock in my head about it to remind, because my relationship with Baba has grown exponentially. I've had the honeymoon more since 2020 than 2013 when Baba first took my heart, because my mind kept him at arm's distance. And it was me just trying to, through behavior mod, bring him in, say the thing at 6 o'clock, 12 o'clock, and 6 o'clock, and try and say his name as much, really try and remind myself. And I've really done a behavior change in a way that I've never seen myself do a behavioral change.
Mm.
And that has been incredibly profound for me. So, Jay Baba.
Jay Baba. Wow, beautiful story, Diane. And wait, Jeff, you're muted. I see you talking.
Oh, I just wanted to say what I found for the Mandali. When I was a kid, they'd have these 50-foot diving boards. And, it's like scary and everything, but you would see people jump off and they would survive, they'd hit, and then they'd come up and swim off to the side of the pool. So, that nothing's going to happen to you. And that's the way I looked at the Mandali. They were diving off the 1,000-foot board and they came out all right. So, anything they said, you can, giving your whole life to Baba, nothing's going to happen. Nothing untoward's going to happen to you. I mean, there are examples that you can survive diving off a precipitous height with Baba, and you will, you turn out like Erich or Mani or Pendu or Padre. So they were great in that respect for me, to know that, wow, these people gave everything and look at how they turned out. So that gave me the confidence to go for it.
Thanks, Jeff.
Yeah.
I do feel like, I don't, maybe this is just my experience, but um, like in the beginning of your Baba journey, which I feel like even though like I've known Baba my whole life, my own connection to Baba like deep into my like early teens, but uh, it's a lot of in the beginning of you reminding yourself to think of Baba, like, oh, I have to think about Baba. Oh, I have to think about Baba. Oh, I have to think about Baba. But I think as you grow into your relationship with Baba, Baba has a way of reminding you that he's always thinking about you. I mean, that's just the thing that makes me kind of, or reminds me of that too, is somebody told me the story of Kitty. I believe it was Kitty, Jeff, correct me if I'm wrong, but somebody said like, oh, do you just feel Baba all the time? And she says, nope, can't say that I do. And like a lot of loving Baba is just not really, it's like jumping off that 50-foot diving board where you're like, I hope this is the right move because I'm going all in. And it doesn't promise a lot of money. It doesn't really promise anything at the end. So if at the end of the journey, the spiritual path isn't real, well, you'll definitely lived an interesting life. But that being said, I think Baba has ways of showing up and reminding us that he's thinking of us and that we're not diving off this diving board to a cliff at the bottom, that it is like it's the ocean of love. And he shows me a lot of those moments out here, and I'm going to keep talking until somebody puts their hands up. Okay, cool. Alan, go ahead, Alan.
Yeah, what you both were talking about is reminding me of a conversation I had with a Baba lover, and he was saying that well, I guess one of the last conversations, or one of the conversations he had with Erich was about the real death. And so like when that story of that woman who came to Baba's feet at one of the darshans and was like, she might have been affluent, and she fell to his feet and was like, I'm so depressed and distraught. I want to kill myself. Like, I want to kill myself. I can't stand this life. And he said, good, great, go ahead, kill yourself. And she's like, what? And then he said, bow your head at my feet and do the real suicide. And she was like, and she just did it. And he's like, good, now you've committed the real death. And that's something that I think Margie, I was talking about on the podcast. Your podcast was like the beginning of the end. So it's like, that's the feeling that I've had since coming to Baba, is that all of this is I'm enjoying it while I can, in terms of how many lifetimes am I going to just keep believing, keep doing this over and over and over again? I mean, there's going to be a time where it's like, Jeff, you were talking about one time, just I guess looking at Erich and just asking him, or some sort of interaction where you had with him, where he was like, you all are so lucky, like you get to sort of enjoy this time that you have, and my cup's almost empty, like it's just almost at the end. And so there's just that beauty, there's that beauty that is there. But there is something about, I don't know if Jeff or somebody could talk about their experience with that inner experience of like, you're actually going towards like all these things that happen in our lifetime is actually whatever it is. It's not, even when you die physically in this life, is not the death that you're terrified of. And I think our egos are like, no, I'm not right. I do not want to let it all go. I cannot let it all go. Like, I need to be me. But that's okay. But I feel like I'm experimenting with being all the feelings, all the thoughts and all the emotions, and then all of that is like, wait, that's you too, Baba? You're in there with that? You're even there in that? Okay, like it's beyond it's breaking away from the dualistic, like heaven and hell, and you do the good and then good things happen and you'll go to heaven, and you do bad and bad things happen and people will shame you. And it's just it's like, where's Baba is in all, then I don't know, my mind can't really touch into both ends of that. But I just wanted to bring that up, the real death.
Yeah. Yeah, before we go to Ron, I'm reading Mara Maher, and just yesterday there's this section in I'm about halfway through the first volume, and Baba at one point says to all of them, he says, "Would you die for me?" And they all say, "Oh yes, Baba, of course." And he said, "That means nothing. It's to live for me that matters. Those are the ones who really love me, to live for it." I'm kind of paraphrasing, but it was something along those lines where he was just like, that doesn't mean anything. Like to say you'll die for someone or to die for me. Okay, let's go to Ron.
So I was remembering either I think I heard somebody say that Adi K. Irani was asked about how he remembers Baba, um, how he thinks of Baba during the day, and he said he basically said that Baba's always at the back of his mind, but he's not in the front of his mind, because the front of his mind is taking care of his worldly duties. At the time, he was working in at the Ahmednagar Center, checking people in and registering people. This was, back in '70s, and so what is the way it strikes me is that, like, if somebody asks me, what is it like to follow Mayor Baba, the two things that come to mind is remembering him in what I do, and then trying to please him in what I do. And I think when you're pleasing Baba, you unconsciously or consciously know that you're thinking of him by trying to please him. So it's sort of an automatic thing, it's automatic, but it's not mechanical like it might be if you were, repeating his name 100,000 times during the day, and maybe not taking care of your kid or something like that. So I think that's maybe what you were talking about, Margie. The By having Baba become your day-to-day duties and everything. He often said, in your daily routine is where you can serve me, and when you're serving him, how can you not be aware of him and thinking of him? Seems like an important facet for myself.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's where you give Baba the chance to show up there. Like if you're always looking for Baba, I go through periods of time where I'm like, oh, there's 4:44 on the clock. That means you're there, Baba. And it's like, okay, yeah, sure. Like Baba's always there. But when you're just like, okay, Baba, we're doing the thing and I'm attending to my worldly duties, that's when he like really shows us like, hey, I am here. I'm not just here because you think I'm here. I'm actually here. And I'm going to show you in ways that you don't even know. You're ready to be reminded. Let's go to Marion.
Hi, thank you everyone for your sharing. And I was contemplating, well, where will I begin with this? It's so many phases that I've been through. So I'll just come up with something and not everything. And when I was looking at now at this time of my life, as you put in your question, and then when I first came to Baba, and I was thinking the other day about this question because now I have in my elder years more of a is saying my prayers in the morning and certain structure that means a lot to me. And I thought I didn't have that way back when. I ended up being a single mom with 2 kids and developing an advertising career and my own business and all this kind of stuff. And I thought when I hopped out of bed in the morning, I don't think I said those prayers. I think I got up to get the kids ready for school and do all that stuff. And but there was no doubt Baba was, my master, no doubt at all. And so I was led through those early years and all through my life, as far as my own training as a transformational counselor, to look at mental, physical, emotional, spiritual, because I was helping other people with that. I did dig into all my stuff, so did much of that and looking at early. And as Baba said, you don't have to go look at your millions of lifetimes, but if something comes up to look at, you can do everything with this lifetime, looking into it psychologically, or if something comes up, look at some past lives. So I had some past life experiences being shown to me. And what was interesting in this life as being a woman, because I never was given any past life experiences as a man, it was always a woman, and about giving my power away, and experiences of in other lives of being totally dominated financially, by a man, being told how to dress, being told what to do with money. All of that was shown to me, so that in this life, I went through the women's movement. I was at the prime of that and everything. And so I had a lot of direction, a lot of guidance. And so that brought me to being more. And then we had meetings here in New York City, which we don't now, of our Mayor Baba house. So even though I had little kids, I got to as many meetings as I could. I couldn't afford a sitter, but I would get there and very involved. And Baba was definitely at the core of my life. So, and I dug into all I had to, because even professionally, all of the beliefs that I formed and I brought into this life with, about who I am, and bringing up the unconscious to consciousness. So that moved me forward, so I thought there's no more to dig up. I've dug it all up, all the stuff about myself. But today, so it brings me to today. I've been going through a lot of, I would say, suffering. When there's that over-identification with just being human, that I call that suffering. When I feel my distance from merging, being totally God realized, that's pain. And I distinguish between pain and suffering. And I've been through a lot of suffering because I'm letting go a lot of my physical objects in my apartment, leading toward end of life, and letting go of a lot of objects that have been with me since, there were even some from my ancestors, dishes and stuff. So it's like in my face, so many different aspects of this, of letting go of identification with this material realm. And so, and experience not dissociating, but knowing the difference between detachment and hanging on to things because it's material world. And so that's right in my face. Baba's got that right in my face, and that this is an illusion. So that's been gifted to me many times. What an illusion this is. So today, something came up about my early life, nothing new, but it was new with me being to Baba. And I think it got clearer today because it was something about me going to, I had my first day of kindergarten was just horrible, very painful as a little kid. I wasn't quite 5 yet. And so it colored my life so much about going out in the world, that early experience. And I worked on it a long time. And so, but today I said something to Baba about, well, how come that time that I was saying sometime when I got hit, or different things not treated well and whatever, you'd think I'd never ever address this. I've addressed all of that, but I was curious. And I think today, on being in Artie and here, I think what's come to me is because then Baba spoke to me and said, for the unwinding phase, I had to take you through that, and you are me, we are one. And it was just all of the truth about who I am, who Baba is, there in my moment today. Then it occurred to me, oh, it was going more from my head to my heart. Because Baba has, we're here to bring the unconscious to consciousness and balance the head and the heart, with the heart leading the way. That's intuition, that is God. And I thought, oh, there was something about some of those early experiences in this life that were painful. And some of my hey, how could you take me through that? Do a little complaining. And it was so, and being reassured, because I know on a conceptual level, Baba was always with me. But today was like letting me know in a new way of knowingness that I was never alone during those hard times. Now, this isn't the first time I've had that experience, but this seemed to be more of a letting go, more of a releasing, more of a, that one experience is affecting all of the areas of my life that I've gone through, and in this returning process and unwinding. So that all is a little bit not being real specific about certain issues, but today it did make such a difference in my day of feeling this kind of suffering that I'm going through, is that, oh, it's like I got it in more of a heart level, how Baba was with me through all of that. I'm just looking at this life and some of those past life experiences. And it was a deeper level of knowing that Baba was with me rather than just thinking it and knowing it up here, knowing it here, all in my energy and in my heart, that to know that I was never alone. And that's been an issue of my life, loneliness and aloneness. So I'll end it with that, because I thought, okay, it's still going on. But today I had that conversation because I would made a commitment to every hour on the hour stop whatever I was doing and listen, and so Baba could reach me and I'd be more receptive rather than being so busy all day. So I just felt the grace of that, the grace of Baba reassuring me that I was never alone.
Beautiful. Wow. Thank you so much for sharing, Marian. Because I think moments like that that's like you're diving, as you know, to use Jeff's analogy, you're diving off the diving board and Baba's like throwing grapes into your mouth. You're diving down and it's getting sweeter and sweeter. So thank you so much, because
Thank you.
yeah, I mean, he is always with us, but I like what you said, you took it from your head to your heart. And I think it's really easy, especially with all these like spiritual concepts that Baba gives us. Oh, well, if you wouldn't get your heart broken if you didn't have attachment, or if you did this, then you would never suffer or whatever. But it's like, yeah, we can know that, but it takes time. Baba has to work it through us to get it down to our heart.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah.
thanks for sharing.
Marian, could you say all that again, please? I missed a couple of points, I think.
Someone's speaking, I can't hear.
Wait, to say what again? Ralph, I might recommend going back to the YouTube video. That's why they recorded, because it was long.
What? What's this? A what? Who?
Where
Marian, I asked if you could say all that again. I think I may have missed a point or two.
Oh, I couldn't. I just spoke
Did you
from
get it that time?
yeah,
it was just a spontaneous.
I was pulling her leg, Mark.
I didn't have it mapped out. I didn't have it mapped out, but
No, but that was a humding. You spun a humdinger. I'm blown away. Thank you, Bob.
really beautiful. Thank you.
thank you.
It's
Let's
fine.
go to Rich.
In listening to this, I was trying to figure out how I could relate to this conversation, but right now in my life, but I've been trying to do what a lot of us do, trying to read through Infinite Intelligence, and I already made it through most of Creation and Causes at least once. And, I haven't read God Speaks in a long time. And I remember years ago reading the discourses, just spot readings, right? I'd read one, move over, read something somewhere else. But so all that stuff sort of sticks to your brain. But I think Baba helps it to kind of dissolve into your soul over time. But there's a word that I found in Infinite Intelligence when I first started reading it a couple years ago, and it's called upapog. And I love this word upapog because, the English, we'll call it Judeo-Christian language, doesn't have a lot of real spiritual cosmological words, it just doesn't. I'm sure Vedantism does and Sufis do and blah, blah. And Baba has made us, he's tried to educate us a little in that. But upapog is a very special meaning. And I wasn't sure at first what it really meant. All I could figure out was you eat creation, But I think what we're kind of talking about here is upapog is literally when you decide, okay, well, today I'm going to the park, and you go to the park and you see the dogs and the kids and you have a good time, and you're not really thinking of Baba necessarily, but it's really our first spring day and oh my God, all this stuff. And so that's upapog. You're putting that in, you decided to eat a walk in the park. I'm going to have a walk in the park for my soul, right? But so upapog, there's a B in there, upapog, is the method by which we reconfirm our identities in this world, whether we're in the gross world or whether we're in the subtle world. But I think primarily for us, it's all about growth. But so there's upapog. And then there's another word Baba uses, and this is another word that's brand new for me. And I know it's an infinite intelligence, but it's called Chaitanya. Oh God. I want to say Chaitanya. I think that's what it is, Chaitanya. But anyway, Chaitanya is like the fuller, big-bodied version of this thing, where Chaitanya is your identity throughout all of evolution and involution. It's becoming a jivatma and how much consciousness you bring to it. But it's still that body, I think, of all that sanskaric experience you have and you bring to it. So what I'm getting at here is that once a person reaches to, like, I think it's the fifth plane, there's no upabhag going on. You're not trying to eat creation. You're already identified with God and through thought, pure and simple, the infinite mind. And so upabhag is what we do when we try to reindulge in our identities, emotionally or intellectually, social friendships. It doesn't matter what you do. I'm going to have a glass of wine today. So that's my little bit of a upapog. I'm going to keep that going. And as you try to let go of these things, then the word upapog makes more sense. No, I'm not going to drink that glass of wine because I know it'll space me out and I'll be less conscious. And so you could say it's your sadhana, or you're now you're going to try to work the path to God. But what Baba does, I think, and this is the miracle of all of us, is we're already there with Baba. All we have to do is try to understand a little bit about how it works. That's what the reading is about. And for me, it becomes more comprehensible, but I think you really have to absorb these concepts. So that's why I'm reading like that. And it's another way for me to actually describe my experience, because you don't have gross words. How do you describe these experiences to, if you got into another conversation, even with other Baba lovers? How can you say, well, today I sort of meditated a lot and I didn't drink a glass of wine and oh yeah, and I didn't do nearly as much upabhog as I was doing yesterday. Anyway, make a joke of it, but but realistically, these are things that Baba has given us to become aware that it is a path. Now, for us being veiled, there's some different experience there. And I think, of course, the Mandali, they were completely veiled. I mean, come on. I think I heard somebody say, maybe Jeff Overton said it, I don't remember, but Adi K. Irani said, yeah, if I hadn't followed Baba, I would have been a perfect master in a couple of lifetimes. I think I heard that. But it's like, wow. And I mean, I can believe that. But these guys didn't do that. They did not do that. They were really, of course, Babas, but they were not normal people. They had Vidyani Sanskaras. They didn't do Upahag. They weren't allowed to create any new Sanskaras. None. They had been given Vidyani Sanskaras to spend. So they became Erich and Adi and Mera and Meru. And it was just so Baba had these great forces of elite spirituality, these souls around him to work through. So, but in this life, I'll always cherish the word upabhag.
Thanks for sharing. I like that. You're very well read. It's impressive. No, I mean, thanks for sharing. Because it's like, that's how Baba comes to you, like as insignificant as it might sound to somebody else. When Baba shows up for us, even if it's through the word upapag, it's like he reminds us that he's there and that he loves us. Tony, you had your hand up. Are you not? You don't want to share?
Well, really, I just wanted to say hi.
Hi.
Because you may know I did my story, which was a full 2 hours about 3 or 4 weeks ago. And then I thought I was done for a while, and last week I wound up sharing a lot. So I'm kind of shared out right now. Except to say, if you haven't seen my Coming to Baba story, I'm so thrilled that I've finally been able, it's long, and I left a lot out, that I've finally been able to share it. I used to years ago spend 2 hours with people in a circle, So if you watch it, I think you will like it. And if you get to the half-hour mark, it'll be a book you can't put down. But I'm so happy to have had that I'm kind of storied out for a while.
You share it out. That's great, Tony.
Yeah.
Go back and listen to it. I can always tell with you, you got that midheaven in Leo. You are, your midheaven's Leo, right?
Oh yes.
Yeah, that's what I thought. Yeah.
With Pluto, South Node, Mercury, Zeus, prenatal eclipse, and black moon. Yeah.
Yeah.
Not much.
I
And
can
moon in
tell
the
not
fifth.
much.
And moon in the fifth. So yeah. Okay.
All right, let's go to Alan and maybe Adrian. Hi, Adrian. I love you so much. You're my bestest whole friend in the whole world, and I'm so happy to see your face. Okay, Alan, you can talk if you want. I'm just kidding.
We all have a good relationship.
You got me.
Okay.
There's no egos here.
My mouth is full of potato.
Potato.
At least you don't have egg on your face.
That's true.
It's okay.
I did earlier for breakfast.
It's
I had
okay
egg all over my face.
To have
Hey,
eggs on the face. I was gonna say,
we're coming to Los Angeles. Just
yeah.
for
What the heck?
Sorry. Mayor Baba once said,
Okay, why don't you?
I, the Avatar, am coming to America. I'm going to go to all the best hit top places, all the hot restaurants, including I'm going to go to Los Angeles. He said that. I'm sorry. Is this a more serious meeting than where my
No.
mind is at? I'm
No.
very sorry.
No, there's just
I heard
just
a
because-
lot of
well, everybody's-
Oopapong.
because everybody's muted, so you can't hear the audience.
You
But it's
can't hear
okay.
the
You gotta have
cacophony of
confidence.
laughter.
Well, Ron doesn't look like he's laughing at me.
Ron is in bliss. I think. I don't know. Are you there, Ron? Oh, I thought it was frozen for a second.
I'm just full of love, you guys. I'm so full of love.
Ron, it's good to see you. I haven't
Go
seen
ahead,
you in a
Alan. I'm
while.
sorry that I cut everyone off.
Nice to see you too.
I remember sitting with you at the El Cerrito Natural Grocery, and when I was first coming to Baba, and I tell people this sometimes. I'm like, I don't know if you guys know Ron Greenstein, and everybody's like, of course we know Ron. I'm like, yeah, he just really helped me out when I was first becoming a Baba lover, and I was having all these experiences of sobbing and fears, and he was like, yeah, you're gonna be fine. And like just
I was right.
and there was something about that just your voice, your presence, and your connection with Baba that really, it just helped me out. So I just want to thank you for that.
Thank you for Baba for coming through.
Yeah. Yeah. But okay, can I share the quote that came to me as in this book, One Fine Thread? It kind of wraps up what I was some of the stuff I was saying. She says, Baba is always present to help. And since Baba tells us that love and faith are gifts of grace from God to man, we should not feel worried if the consciousness of love fluctuates, or that we are losing hold of Baba's Dhamman. Remember these words: one loves most when one is least conscious of loving. I recall Baba saying in the discourses that a master is not so concerned as to whether the disciple has or has not belief in him. What he is concerned with is whether the disciple is really sincere in his search and desire to serve the highest truth. Continue in big and little things to try and please Baba. So that feels more relatable to me in my life now than it would have if I read that when I was, 7 years ago, 6 years ago. Something. Yeah. Anyways, Jai Baba.
Jai Baba. Thank you. So just something that
Just wash it all away, Alan. Just wash it all away.
Oh,
I just thought of-
I love it when people say wash with an R, with it. And can you imagine if I sang the song like that? Wash it all.
Wash it
That
all.
would be, that would be something. Thanks,
I
Richard.
just, Margie, I just thought of something about my journey after coming to Baba. It happened right after I got out of college. Many things happened right after I got out of college. I don't know what I was doing before that. Just kind of wandering through life, kind of half awake. But one of the things that happened is that I started to read books and other things. Before that, I almost never read anything. I just was not interested in what books might have had to offer me. But as soon as I became aware that there were things that I didn't know, I guess I must have thought I knew everything. But when I found out that I didn't, and I wanted to find out stuff, I looked to books. And not only did I look to books, but Baba just sent me books. And 50 plus years, Baba is still sending me books to satisfy and uplift me and teach me what he wants me to be aware of. It's just an amazing thing. So I'm not sure if other people have that in their lives, but it is definitely part of my, I guess that's a Dharma type of thing. Would that be considered Dharma? But learning and unlearning and being uplifted by fictional, it could be fiction or nonfiction, and it could be Baba's books and anybody's books. But he knows how to send them, because some of the most important books that I have ever read kind of like reached out and grabbed me, or somebody said, "Here, take this book, you have to read it," and they gave it to me. It was just like that with Baba. It's so beautiful as a part of my journey. As somebody who didn't think they ever really wanted to read. So I
Yeah,
vote for reading in case anybody wants to give it a shot.
beautiful. Yeah, Baba comes to us in really weird ways. And it's like usually in ways that we expect the least. You know, being out, for some reason, Baba has me in Phoenix, Arizona. And I like tried to go back out to Myrtle Beach and it didn't work. And so I've kind of just been like, okay, Baba, I guess you want me in Phoenix. But sometimes I get discouraged, like, because I feel like my teen years were so blissful because I was like, or my teens and early 20s, because I was either in India or like, you know, I was living in Phoenix or Philly, but I would go to India or I'd go to the center. I spent so much time. And for some reason, Baba's got me out here. But so recently I've kind of like surrendered more to the fact that he's got me in Phoenix and looks like where I'm going to stay for a while. It's where he wants me to be. And something in that surrender, Baba has like just turned up his presence in my life like crazy. And I've always felt really connected to the Baba community specifically, but now randomly, so I'm like a trauma healer, astrologer. So I work with lots of people one-on-one. I'm always talking to them about like their inner journeys, but I use the word the universe, right? Or that's most people, they already have a name for God that we kind of use and work with. But recently, almost every single one of my clients, well, one in particular, but Baba has come up, and it's been this weird way that Baba's kind of turned the key and like, hey, I'm here. Don't you forget me. Don't get the idea about where I am or where I'm not. I'm exactly where I want you to where I want you to be. So I had this client that she's very, very spiritual, and she gets spiritual concepts that are not like, oh yeah, if I think about this, I can manifest my dreams. Like very like Western spirituality. She kind of understands self-effacement. And so we were in a session the other day and she was like, I just feel like I need more. Like I need a master or something. And I was like, oh, well, you know, I have my experience of like I follow Mayor Baba. And then she started asking. And for the rest of the session, all she did was I wasn't really trying to pivot away, but I was just trying to ask her more questions about her because I don't like to talk too much in those meetings. And for the rest of the session, it was almost like, you know, a little kid who keeps asking why, Why? Why? Over and over and over. It was all about Baba. And it was just like this sweet way of Baba kind of coming to me in this like serendipitous moment where it's like, don't you get this idea that my lovers are only in Myrtle Beach or my lovers are only in LA or whatever? They're everywhere and they're going to come. That's how I'm going to let you know that I'm here. So yeah, that's my little blurb. But anyway, well, does anyone else have anything that they want to share that, oh, Vijay, are you waving? Yeah.
No, just Richard, what he said regarding upabhog, that's a right word, upabhog, UPBHOG. Is that you're talking, Richard?
Yes, upabhog. It's a very
Upabhog, yeah,
favorite.
upabhog
It's
means
like
the
eating a piece of
luxury.
cheesecake. You got to eat it. Upabhog.
Yeah, it's to avail the luxury of the life. There is a difference between luxuries and need. So that upbhog we are using, we are consuming, and those daily things or whatever we live in a royal house, there is no need to real. That's a upbhog. But if you live in a simple house, that's a need. So that is upbhog and need. So I think that I wanted to clear that. So I think that what you were talking about. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's what Baba. I was just reading something today on I think on a Facebook post, but so Baba gave this advice to a young guy. He said, you need a job to make money, but you don't have to, make so much money that you fulfill every desire you ever had, and take care of your family and, on and on and on. So yeah, in living a normal life in the world, but it's still technically, and I think on infinite intelligence, upabhog, because it's when you begin to go through the subtle planes, or for us, the first little piece of astral and first plane and all that, that you begin to become aware that that's how your mind functions all the time. So if Margie is focused on, doing a red tent, I've been watching your Facebooks, but doing a red tent, then that's a very important thing to her, and she's got to be a participant. She can't stand off to the side and say, "Oh yeah, do whatever you." She's right in there, right? So she's got to eat up that upapog experience with those people. But as long as she remembers Baba, she's less attached to becoming identified as, a red tent leader. But it's not just intellectual, but it is a form of comprehension. So I think like infinite intelligence, I that's a little bit different kind of book, but still, Baba has given these things, I think, so that we can become aware that we are on the spiritual path. We are, all of us are. We're there, and Baba has got us veiled, but we're there. So otherwise, he wouldn't make this available. And
Yeah.
I think Ward Parks has done a great job, but uh, there's so much new stuff. I think Ron was saying, and someone else about these books. There's so much new stuff that it's remarkable. It's mind blowing. Well, thank you, PJ. Where'd you go? Yeah,
Welcome. Hey, Jai
thank
Baba
you,
all. Yeah.
Jay.
Yeah, we are this entire group of Baba lovers. Baba is taking care of us. When in 1938, my father first as a 14-year-old boy, and when Baba saw him, and he said he was very happy. He just came from the bathroom in wet clothes, like in his underwear, and he stood before Baba, and Baba smiled and he says, "Fit for the path." That was in 1938. And then later on, these 2 years, 19 means 40, he asked him to keep silence and things. And then 55, he had the experiences like music and one day light. It's given in Lord Meher. So one day he just happened to, means during 1955, this Sahwas, during Sahwas at Marawa, and he just told that I seen a tremendous light, very strong light, and Baba asked him to. So means says he contain in yourself. You need not to talk about your intimate experiences. It's an insult to me. So I feel Baba is working in each of us, and he's pushing us, all of us, somewhere, and on the inner path. And that's what we all Baba lovers. Baba said that in 10 million, one lover is there. So we are we are all very special people. I feel that way. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Baba says everyone is first, no one is second.
Yeah,
But then
everyone
he
is
says that he
first.
loves Mara above everybody else. So I don't know. It's kind of
And what I found that Baba gave special importance to the Western lovers. He took really great care of them because in 1969 when he dropped his body and we were all in India, we thought, oh, the show is over. But somehow Baba told earlier to Padri, no, no, the shop was. So Padri said that Baba, the shop is now the time to close the shop. But Baba said, no, no, it's the time to open the shop. And so the game started, and we see people are coming from the West with various experiences. The people coming with camera and all, filming like Irwin Luck and all. And there's with various experiences. And then Mandali said, oh, we have seen his physical form, closeness. But now we see his divinity through you people. So that I think that the game has started. The shop is open. This authoric period, and he's there with us very much, guiding us inwardly. Yeah.
yeah.
Thank you. Jai Baba.
Thank you, Vijay. Baba.
Yeah, Jai. Yeah, Baba.
Well, guys, I think that about does it for tonight. Should we have a moment of silence and then re-avatar Mir Baba Ki Jays? What do you think?
Hello?
Where did Jeff go? Come back.
Jeff, he said he was closing the gates.
He's
Shouldn't we
closing.
shouldn't we wait for him?
I mean, we
Richard?
can.
Maybe Sonober has a joke. Sonober.
Adrian starts singing, he'll come back.
You want to sing a song?
One fine thread, the book that Kitty Davy wrote,
Wow.
talks about Meher Baba, talks about Meher Baba.
You want to sing a real, like an actual song or no?
Okay.
That was a real song, Alan.
That's right.
That's a real
Thank you,
song.
Tony. Thank you for your support.
I meant like song, one of your songs, like a personal song.
Like
You have-
wash it. Can you sing "Wash It All Away"?
Wash it all away. Wash it all away. Wash it all away. Wash is such a cool way to say wash. This is my stand-up. You guys ever hear this? You ever seen this? You know, Mayor Baba.
Tough
you know,
crowd, tough crowd. All right, so I this one time. No, I'm not gonna do that. All right, come on. You want to sing a song or what? You're holding up the audience here.
I want to do stand up. I want to do stand up.
We'll do stand up another time.
Okay. Okay. Meher Baba. 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 Meher Baba, 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 Meher Baba. Tar Meher Baba ki jai. Tar Meher Baba ki jai. Tar Meher Baba ki jai.
Yes, yes.
And see, we said if you sing it, Jeff will come, and look what happened.